everybody, welcome to another video for Ashes of Creation. Tonight we will be talking about progression, and of course with my co-host, Missy. She is the lovely reader, and of course I'll be getting in there too, as always, but we always want to hear Missy's voice other than mine. But yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about progression, so anything in the game that has came out that we know about progression, from class to naval combat to pets to anything related to progression in MMORPG practically. We will be talking about it tonight. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright. Okay, Missy. Progression.
Alrighty. Progression occurs through a variety of pathways. The objective is to provide both vertical and horizontal progression. Repetition will not be a part of progression in Ashes of Creation. So you want me to read these?
I mean, I know we talked about it. They just kind of restate things. But I guess we'll give Steven his limelight here in this part, but just because there wasn't that much to progression, but maybe he'll describe progression for us, what his vision is for it.
Alright. So multiple play styles should be relevant and viable. Additionally, you have a spread between casual players and hardcore players, and most of us exist somewhere on that spectrum. The progression path in a society or religion is more conducive to the time we have to play, whereas someone else may be playing several hours a day and they have a better opportunity for the raid level progression that might require some more dedication. So we want to have these different progression paths available to accommodate the different times in our lives that we have to play the game. And all of those types of progressions will make us relevant in some way, shape, or form to the general world. Having the ability to gain power at a sacrifice. That's a way to kind of reach a horizontal type of progression. It may not be entirely, because there could potentially be a meta if balancing isn't done correctly. But the objective there is to make sure we have both vertical and horizontal progression in the game.
Yeah, and I know we've been talking a lot about this, and just how much time is it going to take to get something, like a ship, building a ship, wanting a piece of armor. Yes, I do agree that people who casually play shouldn't get the best armor, right? Like you have to do the harder content to get the best armor in the game. But if there's an avenue that takes a lot longer for someone like me and Missy that can't play the game 24/7, but in 2 months' time, we can get that new armor, but we've had to collect items. We've had to, grind stuff, in our own time. You know what I mean? So hopefully there is a balance there with still being able to get that shiny piece of armor and not having to hopefully, do harder stuff, because harder stuff takes a group, and a group takes time to put together. And yeah, so all right. Moving on. So leveling, so I guess I'll do this. So leveling won't follow a traditional linear path. Although classic mechanics for leveling exist, experience is gained through a variety of activities: PvP, PvE, exploration, gathering, processing, crafting, events, quests. A character's level will be visible to other players. There won't be any damage dampening due to differences in levels in either PvP or PvE. So I guess I will kind of explain this through Steven here. If I have a skill that does 1,000 damage to a target of equal level, I don't want my skill to do 0 damage to a target that's 5 levels above me. So it sounds like 1,000 damage is 1,000 damage, and regardless of level. So but technically a level 50 is going to have 50,000 health versus something that's at level 15, but you're still doing 1,000 damage. But level 50 is going to probably do 5,000 damage, right? So, yeah. So in game here, and actually with leveling real quick, I just kind of go back to it, bringing up like Black Desert Online. I really hope, so leveling I hope doesn't, with the experience, I do like the variety of activities, that you have a lot of different things that will add to it, and I hope in some form or fashion your alts and all that other stuff too can some way even help increase that in some form or fashion. So but we will see. So in game there is not going to be typical in game and Ashes of Creation, so I guess we could probably expand upon that, right? Part of the whole experience with nodes is that there is no real end game, and that the world is constantly shifting every day. Month 1 is going to be really different from month 2, and that's for level 50s and level 1s. We want the game to be a living game, which means that all content should be relevant at all times. I'd say that we try to make as little distinction between the leveling experience, that's why Missy reads, and the in-game experience as possible. The whole journey is important to us in order to maximize the fun have during different stages of the game. So this is good, and I think it can go either way, right? It could be good, it could be bad. Because typical in-game, some people like that, and I know the ever constantly changing every day, right, Missy? We were kind of bringing this up, of, you log into Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, you know what you gotta do, right? Tombstones, gear, run dungeons, run raids, run trials, whatever. In this game, if things are constantly shifting and you can't play this game every day, how is that going to affect your gameplay? Right, Missy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading stuffs.
Yeah. So level cap. This is a good one. We brought this up and actually had a comment in one of our videos talking about this. In our last podcast last week with Vertec and Chibibri. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it if it's up still or yet.
They're at the Golden Feather.
Yep, Golden Feather. So level cap. The level cap at launch is expected to be around level 50. I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to stay. Level 50 is kind of a starting point for any MMO. The developers anticipate max levels should be attainable in approximately 45 days if you play roughly 4 to 6 hours per day. So this is what we were bringing up, and a lot of people were like, no, it shouldn't take that long or whatever. So Missy and we did some math. I asked Missy, how many hours do you think you could be able to play this game a week? I think you said 20, right, Missy?
Max 20.
Max 20.
Max.
So
that's like hopeful.
Yeah. So if she had a good week, 20 hours, that would take her at this rate 90 days to get to level 50. Some people go, well, I wish it would take a year to get to level 50. And I have to say, I'm going to have to throw the BS card out there, because nobody wants to be leveling all that long. In the sense is you're going to see other people at level 50 and you're going to want to get there, and if it takes you just forever just to get that ding, that ooh, I leveled up feeling, that's kind of discouraging, to be honest. Do you agree, Missy? If it takes too long to actually level?
Yeah, because you don't want to be left behind. Like, say you're in a guild and your guild is leveling, a few levels a week. You don't want to be left behind, especially when it comes to, if you're going to be sieging or doing anything like that. You want to be able to contribute and be able to also defend your home. So you don't want to be like level 2 and everybody else is like level 20.
Yeah, and I think on that is they have to have some type of syncing, and I think they talk about that as a little bit earlier. Is things will be. But still, level 20s versus level, 5, there's going to be a discrepancy there of some sort, big or small. But yeah, so I think, I'm not saying that 45 days is bad to get to level, but if it takes twice the time, I guess 90 days, right? for
It's only 3 months.
Yeah. Well, that's if you are good. Every week you have 20 hours dedicated. So if that becomes 10 hours, then your 3 months becomes 6 months, right? Technically. So
Well, that's how long it took me to get to for Final Fantasy. Oh, sirens.
we got sirens. Woo.
Somebody
Okay.
get me.
Right. All right. So let's moving on here. Lower level characters will have usefulness in mass combat, such as node sieges, that is not directly dependent on their level, such as manning siege weapons, helping repair fortifications, bringing proximity-based buffs to key positions, using stealth or scaling walls. These type of things are relevant in the tide of battle and do not require the player to be max level or have high combat stats. So, at least with sieges, it sounds like it won't be synced, but you're going to be, you'll be able to help out in some form or fashion, but you're not going to be, you're not going to be the big boy on the field though. So, but should you be in the realm of fantasy, are you a epic warrior right off the bat? No. But it is also a game too. So, but I know, like I said, this game is going to have teeth and be kind of bullheaded in the sense of progression, and that's why I think this one's going to be pretty good to talk about.
And the thing is, being a new game, you're going in and everybody's going to be level 1. There's not going to be people at level 50 when you're entering this game if you start from the very beginning.
Exactly. Okay, so moving on to grinding. No one likes grinding. Repetition will not be a part of progression in Ashes of Creation, which is good. I don't like too much repetition. There will be no grindy quests. There will not be repetitive quest lines to siege a single dungeon to obtain gear. The aspiration is to have more things to do in the game than a player has time to do. I like that. As a completionist, though, try me. So, yeah. So, we'll see how that goes. So it sounds like they're not going to be doing dailies, Missy. Doesn't sound like dailies might not be a thing.
Well, that would be nice.
Yeah. But then again, though, like I said, people kind of like that consistent, not too much, though. Like, WoW has went too far. When you had 10 dailies, and that was it, and you were done, and you can go do whatever you want to do in the game, practically go and actually play the game after your chores. But now you have world quests that are just always randomly spawning, and it was like, oh, it's never done, right? So, I think if they have...
It's like, to do your dailies takes you all day, practically, the whole time you have to play the game, and it's like, okay, well, then...
Yep.
Time, I gotta go.
Yep, I can't go run my transmog. That'll be another day. So, AFK leveling. So, sorry, BDO fans, Black Desert Online fans. There will not be AFK leveling in Ashes of Creation.
No scarecrows overnight?
No scarecrows overnight. And, AFK leveling is nice. And the way that Black Desert Online is to bring it up, it's... Like, you level up so quickly to level 60 practically, but 60 plus, like the AFK leveling in that sense, because it like 10 hours would give you like 3%. Let's give you a little scope. So I think at least in that sense, you can, your character's progressing even when you can step away. So... Yes, people are like, well, why are you playing the game anyways then? It's like, well, when you come back, your character's a little bit, progressed. So, I do like that. All right, the Mentor Program. There will be a mentorship program where upper-level players are able to benefit from partying and or helping lower-level players and getting them situated in the game. Certain node buildings and organizations offer quests that can be initiated by a mentor to assist new players. Rewards are offered to both the mentor and the mentee upon completion. leading a Mente through a dungeon, meeting at prearranged locations, so I guess exploration, escort quests for NPC caravans, so introduction into caravans, so that's pretty cool. And level scaling, so here we go. Levels or skills will not be scaled to allow low player levels to participate in dungeons with higher level players. So, sounds like WoW, for the most part, in that sense. Final Fantasy, totally different than that, because Final Fantasy, you can do a level 16 dungeon, it just sinks you to the highest level, max highest level for that dungeon. So, I don't know, Missy, do you think that'll take away from, like, why would I, as a level 50, elitist, go and help a level 5 run a dungeon?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with syncing and level scaling. Like, if we were playing together, say you brought me into the game, right? You've been playing for a year. So you bring me into the game, but then what? You can't run dungeons with me or do stuff with me because you can't sync? I think you should be able to sync even down to my level so we can do things together. I don't see where that's a huge deal, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think it detracts from the game in any sort of way. So, I don't think that's necessarily a bonus. I think that's kind of a little for me on the negative scale.
Yeah. No, I definitely hope
we want people to interact, right? We want people to bring their friends into the game, and people want to play together. That's an MMO, right?
Yeah, I think that definitely we'll have to relook at that. Because when you don't have that, then you better make sure there's alt slots, like a lot of, like at least 8, because
but they don't have alts.
Yeah, I don't know.
On a different server, so that's where it's kind of like, if I want to play with my friends and I start a game and I can't, I'm gonna say to hell with it. Yeah. I mean, yes, I believe I shouldn't scale up to your level, but there's no reason why you can't scale down to mine. Because you're not going to gain anything anyways, really, but you'll get to help run stuff with me.
Right, definitely.
But then it does say above there's a mentor program. So would you just then, can anybody at a higher level then become a mentor and then you could run dungeons with me?
Well, leading a mentee through a dungeon, so I think that would be leading them through a pre-allocated dungeon that's that level. So, and being that there's no scaling, you would be a level 50 pulling, a level 5, level 10 character through a dungeon. So it's almost like power leveling in a way, in a sense. But we'll definitely see.
Which I think is worse. Yeah. I think power leveling's worse than being on an equal scale, to be honest.
Definitely. Okay.